what the domestic
I-
violence and stuff.
Yeah.
There was nothing
Was it
earth
new?
shaking about it.
Yeah, just, there was, you can see the blue down at the bottom, there's some.
This one's new.
Is this a
The
new one?
GCBDC?
Yeah, this is new.
Oh, okay.
Completely new.
They put a lot of things together, because we've had these, and have we had stalking leave
We haven't
before?
had
See,
stalking.
that's why I thought it was new, is like they're combining some of these
Yeah.
together,
But
and that one was.
really, it comes out of your, if you wanna take the leave, it still comes out of your accrued leave.
Yeah, yeah,
And really, you know, you
It's
take
just
your
that-
leave for.
yeah,
It just
You need it.
defines it so that I can't say no,
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
is what it does.
So,
I, as a,
yeah.
you know, as an employer, I can't say, no, you can't take off for stalking.
Mhm.
That's not an approved leave, or now it would be.
To do stalking or because you guys?
We'll need to talk later, Jim. Yeah. And then the next one is just the AR, and I don't have any, I didn't have any issues with that. One of those,
Just the form.
just a form, so, yeah.
Okay.
This, oh my goodness.
I know
We're
this
just
is up
beating this
against,
one.
I know the criminal
The
record.
fingerprinting and
know,
criminal
they
record,
keep
boy, we
changing
beat
it.
that dead horse pretty badly about a year ago, I guess.
Yes.
Wasn't even that
And then
long.
I think we had it again 6 months ago, and then now it's back, and it keeps
Yeah.
changing.
Well, we went through all that and then they couldn't even keep up with the fingerprinting and the background
Oh,
checking. They had to put people to work before they got through the
Yeah.
system.
Yeah,
And those brackets are still in here.
Well, yeah, it's not unusual to hire somebody, you know, 2 weeks before school starts.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get the results back.
saying they don't want anyone hired that hasn't had it.
We had to end up saying, well, it's okay, we'll wait, we'll hire them and then
Yeah.
let them work until it, we couldn't let them work
Oh,
unsupervised.
you're right, right, yeah,
Unsupervised.
yeah, because they just couldn't keep up with it.
There is the volunteer that's driving. That's new, isn't it? Down there in yellow.
Mhm, down in yellow, yeah. But it's, you know, I don't see it to have any, I see it to be more restrictive in that if you look at number 4, it says any individual considered for volunteer service with ESD who's allowed to have direct unsupervised contact with students. Okay, so that's fine, I agree,
We
okay?
already do that.
But if I'm having a volunteer that, you know, I'm gonna run them through the process, but they're gonna drive their van on this field trip, well, if I put another adult in the van with them, another, you know, employee, I don't have a problem with them driving, because they're not unsupervised,
Right.
okay? So,
But sometimes you
And it
can't.
says unsupervised
Right,
contact.
but if I, but then, because they're unsupervised, they couldn't drive.
But, well, if they're an approved volunteer though, wouldn't they already have gone through all of this?
If they're approved, yes,
Yes.
So if they're
yes.
approved, they may not be supervised because your employee's gonna be driving another car with the rest of the
Yeah.
kids.
Exactly, but if they're approved, then we don't have to worry about it, they're
Yeah.
fine to drive,
Right.
they're
Yeah.
unsupervised. I think that yellow part, I think it's for larger schools that may have, because it says, list of positions subject to fingerprinting, if any,
Mhm.
Yeah.
allows them to,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
groundskeeper, the volleyball coach, I don't know, I mean,
I mean, our volunteers are going to already have gone
Mhm.
through.
yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, that whole yellow section is optional, because it's all in brackets.
Okay. Those darn bigger schools, do you know even number
It's your guys' choice, I don't see the need, because I think number 4 covers it.
It really does. It says for a volunteer. Volunteers, well, they're already gonna be. Fingerprinted. I knew it comes.
It's
from-
probably gonna affect school districts far more than
Mhm.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, us,
Yeah, because you got the parent that wants to,
help them in baseball or something.
yeah, take some kids somewhere and.
Yeah, taking some,
The only place where it really would come in with a lot of things, part of the mental.
Yeah,
And the last kid they drive home, it's going to be unsupervised.
But they can't do anything with those kids until Leanne does the background check.
yeah.
So,
So,
they are always, fingerprint background check, so.
so are you saying take all this yellow out or leave it in?
I would say just take it out.
Take it
I don't see
out,
I
yeah.
don't see a need for it.
One
Okay.
or two.
The yellow,
Okay.
the big yellow section there.
So we'll just,
Got some brackets in the back. Yeah.
are they just as slow as they've been?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, the third paragraph down. This is an area where I had issues in the past with, in past situations with the board. Where you have the word may in there, and then you have the words will not. So if I have a person who wants to volunteer, and we do a background check on that person, there is a list of, a list of crimes that you cannot allow that person to volunteer. Okay, so for example, they come back as a pedophile. We cannot allow them to volunteer, I don't care what you say, you're a convicted pedophile. You come back with, past example, 8 felonies of drug trafficking. You could still allow them, that's not one of the listed crimes. You could still allow them to volunteer to be a football coach.
But would you want to?
Well, that's where the may and the will not comes in. So as a board, you could overrule me, because I would be the one saying no, and you could overrule me and say, yes, we know who this person is and we think they're a good person and we think they should be allowed to help with football or with whatever. Or we can say, no, if you've got these things, we're not gonna do it.
So you're saying as to the conviction of any crime will not be employed or contracted by
Right,
ESD?
and I hesitate on the will not though, because there may be, for example, one that comes up quite often is, what is it when you leave the scene of an accident or something like
Without
that?
recording.
Yeah, without reporting that kind of stuff, that's a crime and that will show up on your
Yeah.
report. And I've seen that many times with people, and typically it's back when you were 18 years old and,
But that doesn't,
You know.
that isn't one of the lists that
No, no,
say
no, no.
that you
No.
can't be with kids.
but if that
so-
shows up on your record, then if we
Oh, I
say will
see,
not,
so false statement as to the
So,
conviction.
from,
Yeah.
Okay.
change from any crime to listed crime?
Well, no, because the 10 drug sales, convicted of selling drugs isn't a keep you from volunteering with kids, but I sure wouldn't want them
Well, and this
spending
is,
that
Then
much
you
time with
can,
them.
then you can make the choice,
Yeah,
yeah.
so if you say may,
this is
yeah.
talking about employment too, or
Yeah.
contract, so
Right.
it's
Mhm.
anything, okay, I just wanted to make sure that's. Any crimes prohibiting employment or contract will be
That would
terminated
be
or will
automatic.
not
yeah.
be employed or contracted.
yeah, so this is, it's talking about not disclosing. And I don't know why has failed
I don't
is
either.
crossed out,
That doesn't.
because it makes the sentence not make sense.
Yeah, that's,
It shouldn't be crossed out. Because that's,
or maybe it was supposed to just be has, who failed to
or
disclose.
who failed to disclose.
the
Yeah.
presence of
I think maybe it was
convictions,
So I'll
supposed to
look
be
at
just
that.
failed.
that would not otherwise.
That makes sense.
prohibit.
Right.
Just fail.
Yeah.
And again, that's one that I have had multiple times where I've had, Stephanie want to be a volunteer, and you forgot that back when you were 18, you had some crime or whatever that's on your driving record that shows up on your report. And you're like, oh God, that's right, I forgot about that. Well, because you didn't write it down on your employment application or your volunteer form, that would, if we say will not, then you would be totally excluded from working or volunteering here. Sorry, you didn't write it down.
Well, what would you like to see there?
Because
You're
I-
the one that we
Yeah.
give the discretion to make the
And I'm
decisions.
still stuck on the
That's what
first question, or sentence in yellow.
I said.
Who, it says, a subject individual who has been convicted of any crimes prohibiting employment or contract will be terminated. Well, so what crimes are we talking about, and what prohibits
There's a list.
employment?
Right.
So
Here.
we need to refer to
Or-
that, something needs to refer
Yeah,
to
because
that
it just
list,
starts
'cause it
with
just
that
says any
and then
crime.
comes
Right,
down to
the-
the
well,
other, yeah.
The state has a list of crimes that prohibit us from
Okay.
doing that.
Is it
I don't
referenced?
have it with me, and I know it's one of these legal references, I don't know which one it is.
All I'm saying is in our
But-
policy, I think we better reference that, because that's very, I didn't even get to the second sentence after I read that one.
Yeah, I mean, we can put the actual, we
So
can
that's
move the
fine,
ORS,
It's
we
in
can
the
move the ORS to
OR.
that,
Just say-
within or brackets
Yeah,
within that sentence.
listed
Yeah.
in ORS, whatever, so that
Sure.
whoever reads this knows that there's a list of crimes
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you are
Mhm.
convicted of, you're not gonna get the job. Then,
Right.
we're going on to other crimes you forgot, right? So a subject individual who failed to disclose the presence of convictions that would not otherwise prohibit employment or contract may be employed or contracted with, by the ESD.
Right.
Is
I
that?
would suggest may,
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
yep. So that's talking about me forgetting that I drove off from that accident.
yeah.
Okay. A subject
Right,
individual who
yeah.
only made a
This-
false statement is.
Yeah.
When I was deputy, I always had kids with that fleeing and attempting to live, well, that's a felony.
Yeah,
It's- I was always really careful to charge them that because
that's
It's a
a
felony,
travel.
yeah.
it's a felony. It's
Forever,
gonna be
yeah.
on their record forever.
Yeah, and half the time they're just scary,
They're just,
they don't.
they're just doing, they're just dumb.
Yeah, dumb, yeah.
They're dumb and they
Yeah.
have an open container or something.
Yeah,
in their car.
all that, yeah, for an open container.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
And then knowingly, that third part of it, I think there you could say will not.
I think there
Yeah.
you should say will not,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes,
If you knowingly lie to me about it, then, yeah,
Okay.
I don't want you to have the key to the building, so.
yeah.
So will result in immediate termination?
Well, the last sentence there says, yeah, in the yellow. Knowingly makes fault of, made a false.
Oh, here's the ORS in the next.
Yeah.
Way
I think
down
it's
there,
an
yeah.
There we go.
OR, so.
See, if you'd have listed, if you'd have read further than the first sentence. What we'll do is take that ORS and we'll put it in brackets and we'll put it right after where it says crimes prohibiting employment and then put that
Yeah,
right behind it, just so we have it in another spot.
Then you could take that next whole paragraph, not the sentence, but the paragraph of subject, individual, who knowingly made a false statement. You've already, that's a
Yeah,
repeat.
and that should be will.
mhm,
You know, if you're on that list, if you've lied or if you are on that list of crimes, if you have one of those crimes, we're not gonna employ you.
But isn't that just reiterating that?
yeah, but they're
Yeah.
talking like volunteer, but they scratch the volunteer out
Still.
and still put
A
subject
subject,
individual.
individual.
Yeah,
It's a duplicate.
yeah, it is,
I
because,
take
that
because they
whole thing
took volunteer out and put subject and, individual in, so
I
it's
think
the
it,
same.
I think it,
That
that
just
paragraph,
includes
I think, is a little clearer,
Yeah,
because it's a little more concise. So I would just leave it there, it's not
Yeah.
hurting anything to duplicate
No.
it, but it's more concise
yeah,
than the first paragraph, which seems to be
makes sense
a
why
little
it's
more
there, because they just
convoluted.
changed, yeah, people.
Oh, so the next one's the one you're gonna need to tell us if you want them to be able to begin employment.
Okay, so yeah, so the next one is, we have the option of going ahead and having them start work even though we're waiting for their stuff to come back. I typically would say, you allow them to start work, because if it's a contractor like, you know, siding company or something like that, that's gonna be doing work on your building or something, and we've got a student that's, you know, getting tutored here in the building, I mean, for us, it's not gonna be an issue.
Yeah,
But for a school district, that
Mhm.
would maybe be a little bit different thing.
We've had that come up before, where we hired somebody right at the.
Yeah, just last year or so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a year before, something.
Right.
And we allowed them to work.
Right.
On a probationary basis.
Mhm.
Yeah, and didn't we have supervised somewhere?
Yeah,
So that there
yeah.
wasn't any, you don't have it back, but they're not unsupervised at all anywhere,
Yeah.
actually.
Right. And I think it's pending the return, so you can get rid of the word before.
Shall begin the employment of subject individual for terms on a probationary basis. But, well, okay, so what, something's bothering me, because the other one we had was much more explicit about being supervised or unsupervised, or we
But
could
it-
start them because the background check took months
Yeah,
and months.
that-
to
the
get.
next one, the
And
service
the next
of
couple of
volunteer
sentences
is-
goes right into that.
It goes
The next
into
couple of
that.
sentences talks about that part, what you're talking about. So we could say the service of the volunteer may begin on a probationary basis pending the return of the disposition of criminal records check. Okay? And again, it comes down to, what it is you're having them do.
And the next one is your direct.
Yeah, direct unsupervised.
Yeah.
Now that one,
Mess.
It is.
We just,
on that one, the service of the volunteer, service of a volunteer allowed to have direct unsupervised contact with students,
Will not begin.
I would say will not begin, because that would undermine our mentor program.
That's in there twice too.
yeah, that's, I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah.
Will not begin
Will not, yeah. Will not begin.
before, so get rid of the on probationary basis, not begin before the return of the disposition of the criminal records check.
Yeah.
Because that's the way the mentor program is, they have to have it back before they can do
Yeah.
anything. So that would be, if we had it in our policy, it'd be contradictory to their policy.
it would be good to compare this to our old one that we spent so much time on, and rephrase it if we have to.
I can grab that if you'd like.
Oh, well, I don't know that we want, it's first reading,
Yeah.
could do it whenever,
We
but
can-
this
we can throw it
is
in.
a mess.
Yeah.
They
They
completely
didn't go
Yeah.
change this up on
Maybe
this.
when you
Yeah.
send this out after you change it in our next month packet, and then give us a copy of our old one, so we can see, because this seems to just
It
be,
may conflict. You may have.
oh, I think we made it more simple reading
Yeah.
than what
It's
this
really
is.
not that
This is-
hard. You-
Yeah,
As an employee, a
Yeah.
contractor, a volunteer,
yeah,
you can start as long as you're not unsupervised until
Right.
we get it back, but we're gonna check everybody.
yeah.
It's-
I think we need to
It's not,
look at that.
And the next sentence is pretty much, is basically the same sentence as the one before it.
yeah, I think that's why it bothers me
Mhm.
that the more,
One is a criminal records check, and the other one is talking about criminal records check through fingerprint.
Well, this one says identified by the ESD as requiring fingerprints. It doesn't say anything in the sentence before. Hey Clayton, are you awake?
I don't think so.
I think he fell asleep.
Or he's gone.
Did we lose him? Is the light on? The little red?
I can hear you.
Okay.
He's still there.
We woke him up.
I'm still here.
Okay. We only have a couple more of these to go through.
I think on this one, I'd like to wait till we look at our old one. We worked
Okay.
on that one pretty hard, and this one
Yeah, we can do that.
is
I
way
mean,
too unclear.
there's only 2 more paragraphs left, so we can just wait, we can
Same
wait
with
on this one and go and get the other one. Okay?
Because this is the same bunch, the AR is full of
Yeah.
yellow and red, and
Yeah. That's really confusing.
if it's first reading.
And I
we got
apologize,
time.
I should have, when they have so many changes, I should make sure I include the old one.
This is the one that just gets crazy. No, it's not your fault at all.
Yeah.
It's just this criminal record we've done 3 or 4 times in the
Yes.
last
Yeah.
2 years,
It's
so.
OSB.
And it seems like it's getting more muddied,
Well,
so.
this was
It's
revised,
OSBA's.
this was revised on 1/23 of 2018.
Yeah.
We just
We just did this in
Yeah.
January.
Yeah,
So I think, yeah, we'll pull the other one,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking,
yeah.
forget
Because
it.
we did,
It'd be interesting to see what the
three
difference is.
readings on that one, I think.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
we
you're
did a
right.
lot of work on
Yeah.
it,
It was,
so.
it was nothing
Yeah.
earth-shaking in it.
No, it's
Yeah.
So let's, yeah, we'll get the other ones, I apologize, we'll make sure we
Yeah.
have
No,
that for you.
apologies necessary from anybody, guys.
Oh,
I love policies. Okay, we're moving on, Clayton, past policies, so you can wake up.
wake up, we're gonna go start our meeting now.
I'm still here.
Approve the agenda.
Do you have any late items?
Late items, additions,
No.
stuff.
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay.
The minutes, the smoke is getting me. Approve the minutes of our June 4th regular board meeting and the July 2nd organizational meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion to approve them.
Okay, I've got a motion, I got a second. Any corrections, additions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Approve budget committee appointments. Did you want to talk about that at all, Jack, or?
Yeah, so we've got Ross, is it Callahan? Is that right? From Paisley.
Yeah.
And then from North Lake, David Kerr, he was willing to continue. Well, is Ross new, isn't he?
No, Ross
Ross
has
is-
been, I
okay.
think these are all.
Yeah,
They're all-
they all agreed to continue on. It was quite comical to be at the plush board meeting when they twisted Bill Black's.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, he said, I'm on, I'm
He's
staying
like,
on.
alright, fine, I'm like, you always do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it was comical. So yeah, just,
Bummed if he didn't get to.
I
yeah, he
Yeah,
gets
so
through
we,
that budget in detail.
He does.
yeah, we just needed to approve them, cause
Okay.
they're, to be reappointed. So,
Well, I make a motion to approve, or reapprove them, or whatever.
I'll second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second to approve the budget committee appointments as listed. Any questions or additions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Passes.
With our thanks.
Yes.
um,
Declare
can we,
items.
would you send out a thank you card from the board, just letting these folks know that their appointments were approved, and we're thanking them for their service, and what is it, is it a 2-year position?
I believe
I
so.
think so, yeah.
Okay, so thank you for the
That's-
service for the
that's
next 2
thoughtful.
years.
Great
So,
idea. Thank you.
Yeah.
yeah, and that way they know
Yeah.
you're still on, and maybe put in there that, you know, our first meeting is on this date and that kind of stuff, so. Good, that'd be great, thank you.
Declare item surplus.
I have a question. What's a temp? And what's a CPV?
The same thing.
You don't have one of those?
No, I think I got.
You should have surplused it a long
I
time
got
ago.
the shot for a temp.
I'd like to know what an adding machine is, my generation.
It's called a calculator. Really, add a machine. Pencil and
What's that,
paper.
what is that, temp? I don't even
The
know.
tymphometer, if that's the correct pronunciation, it is a machine that tests hearing on little kids.
Oh,
And our speech paths have not used it in a long time, so we
well,
donated
they're
it to
so
the health department.
updated, yeah, anymore.
So, yeah, that's what that is.
Oh,
Public
And the
health, nice.
CPV,
and a CPV?
I think it's CPU, computer time.
oh,
I think it's supposed to
CPV.
be you.
Yeah.
What is that?
Okay, it's probably my writing, just taking
Okay.
from my
There you go.
notes.
That makes sense.
Okay.
it was interesting to, when we put in the new carpet, as we were moving things and, you know, packing and unpacking and all these kinds of things, all these different things were like, why is this on this shelf? What is, you know, we found
Yeah.
adding machine's got, you know, an inch of dust on
Oh,
it. It's like,
gee, yeah, time to get rid
Yeah.
of.
It wasn't the one you had to pull back, was it?
At least then now to plug it.
That's what came to mind when I read it.
Yeah.
Those were fun.
Not quite, but close.
Well, I'll move that we declare them surplus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
second.
okay.
I got a motion, a second, to approve the declared item surplus. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now that we had our explanation of what they
And
are.
that means now we can sell them or just dispose of them, or what's that?
Yeah, some other
Donate
district
'em
might
or-
want it to, I don't know. Really, you know.
We can throw them away, we can sell them at a public sale, or we could offer them to any of our school districts,
Yeah.
as long as they stay in public service.
Board reports.
Kind of hard to get a financial picture or.
Well, we're all happy. We got new carpet, new heating and cooling system. Never had a cooling system before. So
Pretty nice,
it's
huh?
working quite well, as Stacy said. So.
Yes.
And basically the whole school has been redone inside. I mean, the main classroom. And then Sammy's happy because she gets her own room, all to herself. She doesn't have to
Yeah.
share the classroom. So that'll be really good for the students she's working with.
Oh, yeah, a little quieter.
I'm anxious to see school get started.
How many students do you
Was 8, wasn't it, Jim?
Yes. so
And we just got a new one.
We just got a new one,
Yeah.
or supposedly got a new one coming in.
Yeah.
I just read the email today and I didn't digest it, I just read it, saw there was a new one.
Yeah, the way it sounds, they just
It's,
have to matter of getting Hezzy's little boy.
Hezzy's boy, yeah,
Getting,
his other son.
getting his records and stuff from the school he's coming from, Elko. So,
Oh,
And you guys are gonna have the preschool,
preschool in October, isn't it?
October,
Yeah.
gonna start hopefully the 1st of October. So that'll be new, that'll be in the old preschool building, old library, whatever, I wonder how many different
Yeah.
names that building's had.
It was a classroom for a while, now it's the storage room, and now it's going back to being a
Preschool.
preschool. Built a new storage room for all the stuff that's stored in the preschool.
wow. Do you guys rotate then? Because I know Paisley, not Paisley,
Plush?
Plush has the room that they use as preschool sometimes, so do you, it's
No.
just wherever they're living, or
Pardon me?
do you usually do preschool?
No, we hadn't
They
done it
hadn't done
for,
it.
what, 6 years or
Something like
now?
Wow.
that, yeah, but
It's been,
that this year, is there 6 or 7
something kids are all from
preschoolers,
Adel.
and every one
Wow.
of them's from Idell.
So they
Wow.
kind of
So
have
we
to
said-
busing the kids.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to,
so rather than busing them all over the plush, they
Plush,
said,
yeah.
they're all ours, we should take ownership. And
I think it would have been a little bit of a load on the Plush school, because they don't
Yeah.
have the room to have all those
That many,
little guys
yeah,
in there, they'd be
yeah,
interrupting the
yeah.
other classes. So I think this,
Wow. Nice. And so do they have someone that teaches, or,
yeah,
yeah?
Jessie Burley, they hired.
Oh,
She's a teacher, she's been substituting stuff. So
uh-huh.
I don't know if she's ever taught little kids, has she, or,
I don't know,
yeah.
I don't know if she's taught that low. Well, no, because as a teacher, you would never teach preschool. so-
Preschool,
Yeah.
I think she, I'm not sure what all grades she's substituting for, but she's been doing some work.
Great.
So,
Very good.
kind of excited for the year to start.
So preschool through, didn't we switch grades, Plush and Adel?
Yeah, they kindergarten through 3rd grade
In Adel,
in Plush.
in Plush
And Adel is 4th grade through 8th grade,
and preschool.
now preschool.
No,
Mhm.
preschool.
That's great though, that many kids out there for
Yeah.
preschool.
And for preschool, that is,
Yeah.
That's
A lot.
yeah. And the thing is, they're not all that age, 'cause some of them are the first 3-year-olds that are
Right.
qualify, and then they got 2 years before they're 4, and then to go on to kindergarten, so.
Right.
It's kind of, they kind of all get 2 years of preschool.
Yeah, it's good for them, yeah.
And the internet, what did,
That should be, what, next spring before that gets in there? or-
didn't they have a
They,
deadline?
the last report
Was
that I
it
got, what was it, 2 weeks ago, I went to the plush meeting, that there's the potential that it may get finished up by the end of the year, but definitely will be done by, it has to be done by June 30th
Next year.
of 2019.
Yeah, I
Yes.
thought there was a whole year.
Yeah,
left.
there's a year, but they've, it's going a lot faster than they anticipated.
Good.
They've run into a few issues with trying to get a hold of landowners and stuff. But I don't know if they've had any issues as far as getting, once they get a hold of the landowner, as far as getting permission. But it's been going really well as far as putting the line in. And in fact, the Hunter said they're going to run the fiber optics past the school, because it was only gonna go to the school, they're gonna run it past the school to some, I don't know, some other building that the Hunter is actually staying in. There's another building, I don't know what they call it.
Oh, they might be staying in Steve Gibson's bunkhouse.
Yes, maybe it's to the bunkhouse.
That's about 2 miles down the road.
Right, they're gonna run it down to there, just because of the fact that they've been allowing them to stay in the bunkhouse for free, I guess, and they just really appreciate it, and so they're gonna run the wire
Nice.
all the way down there, so they'll hopefully get some internet service down there, because otherwise, it would never get put there, because it would not
That
be,
is really pretty good, because that whole, along there where that bunkhouse is, has no cell service, because on the back's too low in the rim,
yeah,
Sure,
yeah,
misses them. So that would be really good
yeah,
great.
for people in that area. And
Right.
there's several houses right there.
yeah. So it sounds like Hunter is treating Plush well, so it's good, so.
Good.
It's coming along.
Updates?
Nothing.
No
Nothing.
information? No. Okay, financial report.
Do you have any questions on the check register?
No, not much.
Sarah's not here, I was gonna say
Awfully
Sarah's
early,
gone.
yeah.
Sarah is
Services.
up at North Lake for the audit, for their.
Oh,
audit.
bummer,
So she's-
yeah.
Yeah, that's why she's not here tonight.
So you better treat her nice up there, Clayton.
Yeah.
No, no
Take her some
questions.
cookies tomorrow or something.
Oh, it's that time of year, yeah. Beyond it.
The audit.
Yeah.
Okay, no questions? Superintendent's report.
Hey. Well, this is what happens when you let me have, a little bit of time off, and it didn't come to July, so I got multiple pages. So I'll
Okay,
try
you
to,
have 5 minutes.
I'll try to get through it as quick as I can.
Sorry. Had to do it.
It's no way to get through this in 5 minutes.
I know you would.
But I will paraphrase as much as I can. One of the things that I thought was very interesting, my very first sentence there, the attrition patterns. I went to a meeting, a workforce development meeting, and they were talking about teachers, and the big push right now in the state is equity, and trying to find minority teachers that will teach in a building. So for example, if you have a 40% Hispanic population in your building, that 40% of your staff would also be Hispanic. And whatever that ethnicity may be, whether it be African American or whatever it might be. And they're starting to look at that, and what does that look like for schools, and how do we go about doing that? And so they were talking about, they call it attrition, these attrition patterns basically is how long are people working, what's happening in the workforce, and what's happening with minorities in the workforce, what's happening with women, what's happening with men, that kind of stuff. And they were talking about the barriers that many of the minority people have in trying to become teachers, and whether it be language barriers or financial barriers or these kinds of things. And if you look on the very back page, or I mean on the next page,
It is I don't think it did. Do you want me to go? I have it real quick, I can run like
Okay,
5 copies.
if you could run real quick. On the form, it it lists out from 2000, the form that I got, talks about 2011, 2012. And there was basically 1,000 teachers that were hired on that year. And then it talks about each year, how many are no longer in service in teaching. And there were 20, I'm gonna say 29, I'm thinking 27 or 29 minority males hired that year.
Out of 1,000.
Out of 1,000. And in the year 6, returning to the job in year 6, there are only 15 minority males returning. And it's across the board when it comes to whether it be any of them, the male, the female, the, thank you. Any of them, out of the 1,018 that were hired, only 600 of them are returning after the 6th year, or in that 6th year.
Are they
And
out
so,
of education?
Done, gone, they're not in education anymore. They've
Whoa.
left the business. And one of the things I brought up to this group was, I said, I understand the roadblocks. I understand there are hurdles that they have a tough time getting over and those kinds of things. But I says, but in 6 years, of half of those minority males are no longer in the business. Our problem is not getting them in the business, our problem is keeping them.
Retaining them,
Because that's
yeah.
ridiculous. We should not lose half of our employment of these folks. What are we not doing to support them? What are we not providing
But
for them?
overall, you lost almost half.
Huh?
You lost 40%.
Yeah, well, yeah, of overall,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I said, we got a bigger problem here than getting people into the system. We got people that are overcoming.
Keeping them.
Yeah, we got them, they're working hard, these people, these 29 minority males, they all made it into the business. That's fantastic, whatever their hurdles were, and half of them were gone. I said, that's not okay. What are we doing as educators to make this better?
Yeah.
So I just found that interesting, and I
So was there whoever did this study, did they try and get information from the people that left?
no, we have nothing more than just the numbers. It was just sheer numbers that they were providing for us, but that's,
That'd be
I could
interesting,
speculate.
yeah.
yeah. Well, what their original statement and what they were talking about in this thing, and they were trying to say, well, we need to have more minorities in our schools, was they were saying, well, we only had 73 females and 29 males, and that's when I started looking across and going, well, I agree, that's a small number of minorities that were getting into the business, but you're losing half of them.
Right.
And the females is just as bad, there's only 45. Of the 73, there's only 45 that showed, that kept coming after, came in the 6th year. So,
And really, out of 1,000, that's a pretty high percentage, in my opinion, of minority compared to the demographic
of Oregon,
of Oregon.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
yes.
Yeah.
they've, yeah, that,
So, anyway, I don't wanna go too deep into that, but I just found it to be interesting, and
Wow.
I brought it up in a couple different meetings, that we gotta figure out what we're
Yeah.
doing wrong.
well, it affects us.
Yeah.
It affects us more than it affects any other,
You lose
in
more.
rural Oregon,
Yeah.
because we can't get anybody.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
Yeah, has anybody done any study into what they're changing careers to?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
There was son-in-law that started out as a teacher, wanted to be a teacher his whole life, and taught 2 years and went back to school to become an attorney.
Yeah,
Just because he was so disenfranchised,
Yeah.
he was frustrated with what he was
frustrated with the
doing.
whole
Yeah,
deal.
well, in Oregon especially, every 2 years, you don't know if you have a job, you don't know what
Yeah.
you're gonna get paid, you don't know what, I mean, who's gonna sign up for that?
And it's all the other stuff.
Yeah.
It's not the teaching.
No, it's not the students,
It's
the
not
students
not
are
the
the
kids.
favorites, yeah.
It's,
no, it's not the
It's
kids, it's
just-
not the teaching.
you
It's-
know,
Yeah.
It is. It's, John,
The BS.
when you and I started in this business, it's not the same today.
No. No.
It's not the same.
so,
Couple of things that I thought was pretty interesting as far as education in the nation. The Janus versus AFSCME, basically they can no longer have fair share for union dues. That's not gonna affect Lake County to say, to an extent, but boy, some of the big nationally, some of the big teacher unions and stuff are really scrambling on what they're gonna be doing, not having those union dues and stuff, so. New carpet was installed, I hope everybody got a chance to see that.
It's really good.
I just have, there are some people that are just need some real big kudos. One thing is, you know, you look at this, but you look, we tore the heaters out of this wall. And so it was re-sheet rocked, and
wow.
new floorboards put in, the piping was cut out and removed, that was there. And so Rob Stark did all the moldings and stuff down
Wow.
below. Sammy and Jessica did the painting, did a fantastic job of painting the building
Yeah, it looks
inside.
nice.
Everything's pretty much been repainted. Debbie and Sarah, I think they moved more furniture than they care to brag about. So I can't, I owe them big time. They've let me know that. I don't think I've paid them off yet. I brought them cookies one day, but I don't think it's enough. So, I know it's not enough. Yeah, it's not enough. So, but I just want to publicly, you know, say what a fantastic job everybody did in making that. This was a huge project. You don't realize how much stuff is in a building
Yeah.
Yeah,
until you start moving it from room to room, because it had to be not just packed up, then it had to be moved out of that room into another room. That room had to be carpeted, and then it had to be moved back into that room, but then the other stuff in this room had to be moved into that room, and then that stuff had to be moved back out. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a ton of work. So, we have a fantastic staff, and everybody pitched in and did more than they were expected to do, but it was great, so. The next one, the quality education model, you've heard of that in the past. OSBA, I don't know if they sent this to you guys at home, but OSBA gave us a nice little chart here. Talks about where the funding would need to be if we were to be at the quality education model. We would need to be at 10.7 billion. Oregon has, since the quality education model came out back in 1999, Oregon has never funded to that level. And so that was something that came in from OSBA. So I thought you would be, if you hadn't seen it yet. Donald Trump on July 31st, he signed the Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century Act, or in other words, the Carl Perkins money, for the CTE monies and stuff like that. So that's for a number of years now, that keeps coming up to be on the chopping block and stuff, and so by him signing that, that's going to put it in place for a number of years now. I'm not sure what the full longevity is, but kudos to him for doing that. It makes a big difference in high school, so that's neat. We're still working OAESD, our organization is ESDs. We're still working with the state, dealing with the chronic absenteeism legislation. We've been approved. We're going to be hiring some trainers or some mentors in that area. The state is also going to be doing some, hiring some folks. We're going to be hiring, they're hiring 25 people, and we're going to be hiring 8. We were hoping that we would get a bigger part of the responsibility with that, but I think this is a good step in the state realizing, hey, you know, the ESDs as a group, we can help them out in providing services and stuff to the state. One thing that I found to be interesting, I guess would be a good way to put it, was part of this chronic absenteeism, part of the thing that they're working on is freshmen on track. Are they on track to graduate into their freshman year? And the lady at the state who's in charge of this program said that they will no longer be using the statement freshman on track. They will now be using the statement 9th grade on track. Because this year, students can now register as non-binary. Meaning I'm not male, I'm not female, I'm non-binary. Clayton, that was an out loud laugh, okay?
You can't hear me from that far away.
Nah, we can't.
And so, because they are having these folks being able to register as non-binary, they will no longer use the term freshman. And I had to raise my hand and I had to ask, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude or ignorant, but what is wrong with the term freshman? And they said because the word freshman is a gender-specific word, it has the word man in it, that they did not want to upset the non-binary folks by using that term. And I, you know, whether that's politically correct, whether it's not, or whatever, I think the part that frustrated me the most was to think that there had to have been a group of people at the state level that sat around a desk or a table or something somewhere and had a conversation that said, you know, we probably should not use this word. And I just think, you know, that's a sad day in our age that we're that sensitive, that kind of thing.
Well, this back to school with knives is not any more stupid than that whole
No, that was just supposed to be funny, so,
But, I mean.
yeah.
That is funny.
Yeah.
It is, yes.
Yeah, I found that, I just thought it was hilarious. Yeah, back to school with a bunch of knives on there.
Great, so you took that shot? You saw that?
No,
Oh, okay.
I stole that. That was,
Okay.
that was stolen, so, I thought that was pretty funny. And then the last thing is there, I don't want to overlook it. I was gonna request the board if I'd be able to take 4 days off, the week of September 3rd. I won't be bow hunting in your area, Clayton.
Ah, that's why we got jerky tonight. And I say, oh, I'm gonna go out hunting now.
There we go.
Yeah.
So bring some more.
Yeah, are you
There
gonna
we
be
go
at the
again.
north end then hunting?
Yeah, well, I'll be over south of Lapine,
Oh, okay.
so it shouldn't be too bad.
Pretty close to Clinton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Clayton, you guys gotta get that fire out, because I've got Silver Lake buck tags, so,
Oh, well, we've been, I don't know if you know what the RFPA's are, Rural Fire Protection Districts. I've been on that all last week off and on, and I think everybody's trying.
Yeah.
yeah, I just hope
There's a stop story I could give you if I went into detail, but I did give a friend of mine, Greg Walton's phone number. When it got done, there was gonna be a whole different set of guidelines as to who can go put a fire out on the national forest.
oh, yeah,
I'll go that far. Greg Walton, really kicked back. Kevin Lehman called him, and, we have an MOU with the BLM.
oh, good,
We'll put fires out there and just say, hey, we're headed out to do your job because we can be there faster than you. Please give us backup. And after this one, yeah, we'll have that same one with the Forest Service. So it actually is a bad deal, but it makes it changes.
Yeah, good.
Well, have you seen how close it's getting to Paisley yet? I understand that they've upped the warning or something?
Well, last I heard, I've been home for a day. The last I heard, they upped the warning for Paisley, even though it hadn't got that close, because it gives more federal resources.
Okay,
10, 12 miles.
Wind.
So they upped the
The wind
warning,
is kicking.
even though, I mean, it's getting close, don't get me wrong, but it was quite a ways away.
yeah,
But if you throw that out there, then the feds say, oh, well, let's pull some resources from here and give them to there.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
they don't have
okay.
enough fighting that
It's all
fire
political.
out there.
yeah, and it's pretty bad when a fire is political.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, if that's okay with everybody, like Adele, they don't start school till Wednesday, so I'd only be missing 3 of their days and
Fine.
Yeah.
and that kind of
that's fine.
stuff, so is that
As long
okay?
as you're not in Clayton's area, you're okay.
Yeah, as long as I have Clayton's blessing, then, okay, I just want to make you aware of it.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, thank you.
I'm heading back to Jim's area that week, so don't let him get it.
Don't tell them, Okay. We did the information discussion, we did the first reading. Oh, are these different readings than the policies we just read? Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
legislative.
Yeah,
No.
OSBA legislative
No,
policies.
this is from OSBA,
Uh-huh,
okay, and there's nothing for you to do here, this is just for your information.
okay.
They had a survey out, I think it was probably sent to all of you guys, you may have saw it or not. But this is just some of the policy priorities that the OSBA is going to be working on in this next legislative session. So it was just good information for you guys. I gave it to you in hard copy, so you'd kind of be able to, needing to go to sleep some night, you can look at it, fall asleep with it.
Not much different. I mean, is there? I didn't
It's
see anything.
not a lot, I mean, it's kind of a lot of the same old. COSA is really trying with our workforce development thing is to really try to focus on some other things other than, because I know they know OSBA is focusing on the funding and that kind of stuff, but we're trying, COSA's trying to go in a different direction. So we'll see if it, where it goes, you know, it's the legislation, who knows? But anyway, this is just what they're gonna be focusing on, so I thought you guys could have a look-see on that one, so. And
This says first reading, are we gonna have to do anything with it, or it's just a look over?
Just open.
there shouldn't be a, oh, that's the, oh, no, this shouldn't be a first reading.
Yeah,
Just-
that's
I'm
what
sorry.
threw me off so
Oh,
much.
sorry,
just
no,
wanted to
that's
make
just,
sure.
yeah,
'Cause
sorry about
yeah,
that. That's,
That's all right.
That there won't be a test on it
Nah.
next month?
no, that's just for your reading pleasure, so.
Okay. Our regional meeting is coming up, huh?
Yeah,
It's a Thursday.
is that October
Yeah,
17th? Is that a,
Wednesday.
It's a
I don't know,
Wednesday.
is it a Wednesday?
I don't know, I don't have my
I think we looked
calendar.
at that too.
I thought we did too, and then for some reason I had Thursday in my head, but maybe that's because of the
I
super.
think we technically looked at these things, yeah.
October 17th is a Wednesday, yeah.
Perfect.
And
So
that
that's-
is, yeah, OSBA Fall Regional Meeting.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's gonna be in Paisley.
Okay.
And
Is that gonna be a board meeting earlier? No.
we don't know, no,
That's the one where they come and talk, feed us.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so,
So that's in
Okay.
Paisley.
Yeah,
so just for your information.
okay. I'm in town, so I'll drive if anyone wants to ride out there.
Yeah, I'll probably ready.
Okay, yeah, keep an eye out for the bucks.
That's right.
We have a whole other meeting before that, though, right?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
September, yeah.
September,
Okay.
yeah.
And you'll send us the email if you need to RSVP. Okay.
Okay. You want to talk about the annual convention?
Okay,
It's coming
that's
up.
just the annual convention, that's November 8th through the 11th. I didn't know if anyone who wanted to go, if so, we need to get on it, get registered and get hotel rooms and stuff. That's the one in Portland at the Marriott, up at the waterfront there. We didn't go last year, and I don't think nobody from Lakeview
I've
went
never gone
either,
to
so,
Portland.
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I didn't know if anybody wanted to go. If not, we won't worry about it, and we won't.
Is this one where they do the ESD stuff the day before, or that they have something for ESDs the day before, or is that in the?
There is an ESD meeting, I think the first morning or something like that. But it's not, I mean, it's not dire that you have to be there for it or anything like that, so. And it would only need to be Jim if he's gonna be our rep again. He would only need to be the one to be there.
So I
A
But
few years
Yeah.
years back, they actually tied in a lot of the ESD board meetings with the OSBU in Portland when I went, and it was interesting
Yeah.
because to hear from different
That's what I thought. that there
ESDs,
was-
yeah, they
there
did
was
it
a
a few
little
years
bit of
back,
something.
but yeah, they haven't since too
Alright.
much.
So,
Okay.
anybody will, no, okay. All no's?
No.
No for you, Clayton?
Give me a few days and I'll tell you.
All right, if I don't hear by Friday, we'll,
Okay,
because we have to get hotels and that kind of stuff, so.
Are
right.
you going?
Yeah. If you're not going, I'm not going. If you go, I'll go, so. Yeah.
I
You don't
did.
seem excited.
No.
I go to enough of these things.
Yeah.
but, I mean, I'm happy to go. It's not a bad conference. It's, you know, they've got some good information. You know, so I don't mind going. It's just that it typically, yeah, it's not a bad one because it's after buck season, so.
That's what I was gonna say, is it
It's before
interfering with
winter
something?
hits,
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
so.
okay.
Okay,
COCC tax concern.
okay, so I gave you guys a copy of the email that I've got from David Kerr, up at North Lake. So North Lake is part of Central Oregon Community College. Half of their district is in the KCC tax realm, and half of their district is in the COCC tax realm. Well, and Clayton, you correct me on this, because I think if you were at the board meeting where this discussed, but they're not getting any services per se out of Central Oregon Community College. They're getting
No,
their
we get
services.
more out of Klamath Falls than we do out of COCC.
You're right. And so they're wanting to redistrict their district so that all of the community college taxes go to KCC rather than part of it going up north, which they get no benefits from, anything like that.
At all.
At all.
KCC has been just awesome for our school, but COCC is kind of like, we'll take your money, but we really don't have time to help you.
Yeah. So what they're looking for is a letter of support from this board, from the ESD, stating that we support North Lake in their endeavor for changing their tax boundaries to move to 100% KCC as receiving the taxes. So that's what they're asking for. Did I do that well, Clayton? Is that okay?
You did, because KCC has just been awesome for our school, but like I say, COCC won't even return a phone call kind of attitude. And it's been going on for years and years, so. I wasn't at the meeting, but I know about it, so it's kind of neat to see something happening.
Yeah. So David Kerr was just asking for if this board would be willing to provide a
Oh,
letter
sure, I
of
think so.
support.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I can
Yeah.
I'd support that.
draft that for you guys.
I would support that.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So we got
Yes.
a consensus on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'll let David know, unless Clayton does before I do.
No, I probably won't.
Okay.
Like the owners.
Okay. And then the last thing on there is our kickoff barbecue at Mr. Mike Benson's house on Tuesday, August 28th at 5:30. So it's all the staff and the board, you're all welcome to come. So,
Is it a potluck?
yeah, yeah. And the sign-up sheet is right in here on the counter. And so you're welcome to come. My understanding that in past history, not many of the board members have come to our barbecue, so I would maybe encourage you to come this year.
I'm on my way to Arizona.
Oh, yeah, Arizona, Vegas, I understand.
I'm,
Yeah.
no.
All right, well,
I'll be
you're all
indoors,
welcome to
it's
come.
my brother's
so,
house, I'm not being outdoors.
okay? And we included the board calendar
Yeah.
again, just for information, just so you guys would have it again, so it'd be fresh. So,
Yeah, I couldn't find my other one, so thank you for sending it again, so now I can post it, now school's starting. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, at 8:00, we will adjourn the meeting.
All right. You guys have a good night.
Thanks, Clayton, take care.
Be careful.
Have a good